All right, so we left this part for the last part to get done on the bodywork. This area is either filled in with fiberglass or bondo glass, but wire wheeling this anywhere it gets on you, you get itchy and irritated. It's pretty nasty stuff. So that's why we left it to the end. We've done all the metal work that we needed to get done on the truck. Got all that rust spots taken care of. A few over here. Here, and we're working on the doors right now, that's why they're off, but we wanted to get the truck done so we can get close to the welder. The doors can be moved towards the welder, so we don't need to have the truck in the welding or the spot where the closest to the welder. But anyways, yeah, we left this to the end, and what we're going to be doing here is wire wheeling all this fiberglass, bondo glass off so we can see what's underneath it, see if we need to do any more additional body work. We want to make sure there's no more rust underneath here, and if there's no more rust underneath these spots, what we're gonna do is if there is rust, obviously we're gonna take it out and patch it up like we did the rest of the truck. But if not, we're gonna go ahead and just bondo glass, put a layer of bondo glass. It's already structurally rigid. There is a plate back here that was tack welded in place, so we're not worried about the structure, you know, it being we're not worried about the strength of it. It should be pretty sound, but we will put a layer of bondo glass just to give it a little bit more strength. And since the bondo glass is a little bit harder to weld, or I'm sorry, it's a little bit harder to grind off, the last layer we're going to do bondo, so it'll just be easier for us to sand it down. So we're going to go ahead and get started on removing this fiberglass, and that will be the last of the body work we'll be doing, and then we'll be ready for bondo. We got all that fiberglass wire wheeled off, and so we can see underneath, you know, the plate that was welded in place, and it's not too bad. There is a little bit of, I guess you can see, there's a little bit of rust forming on the plate. I guess it was on the back side of the fiberglass, so that's why we wanted to remove it all and make sure that, you know, there wasn't too much rust or anything that we should take care of. So what we are going to do, what we decided, is we're just gonna bondo, or I guess just fill it in with bondo glass. Structurally it looks fine, and so that's what we're gonna do. Whether some may not agree with what we're doing, but I think it'll be fine. I guess we think it'll be fine. Anyways, that's what we're gonna be doing. But before we fill it in with the bondo glass, like I mentioned earlier, that's gonna help give it a little bit more structure. But before we do that, we're gonna pour 15 all this prior to the bondo glass to make sure that no rust forms underneath it, and that should take care of any rusting in the future. So yeah, we're gonna etch it, pour 15, and then once we do that, we'll start filling in with the bondo glass.
So since there's not that much rust, after this second round, we'll probably be good.
So we're going around. It says just metal prep?
Yeah, metal prep. It's like the pour 15 stuff. They recommend preparing the raw surfaces with. Usually you would grind all the rust off, but this really didn't have that much rust since they're fresh patches.
Yeah, we've already went around and sprayed all the patches, and we're going again and just make sure we get a good coating of the metal prep before we go for it. Before we put the pour 15 on. And you can already see it, like, I guess etching, pretty much like etching the metal.
Yeah.
And on the doors, we already, you know, etched the doors, and we've already put some pour 15 on the spots that we had some rust. Already got that taken care of. Now we just need to weld that patch that we made. But the door should be fine. We're just gonna fill it in with bondo glass, and these will be good to go. So Jack overheard me, and he says these doors are not good to go because
Yeah, we just need to put some bondo glass on, it'll be fine. And then we'll sand it, and then probably put some more. And then figure out that we suck at applying bondo glass, and then sand it again, and then some more. and then sand it again, and then we'll do primer, and then color with a round of sanding in between it, and then maybe clear. Maybe, we don't know.
And then we'll be done.
After color sanding, then we'll be good after that.
You can see the metal prep starting to etch the metal. So it's looking kind of like that white color. And we'll take a look on the other side. And we sprayed over here, so you saw what it looked like before we sprayed it. And so I think we're like 2 coats in, and you can see it's starting to, you know, have that that finish, that white finish. So it's starting to etch the metal. And we'll probably have to give it another coat or so before we're ready to pour 15. So now we're just rinsing all the metal prep that we sprayed on there.
Yep.
So we'll go ahead and do that all around.
Nice and clean, just some water. It says simple green, but it's not true. Just water.
Once it's completely dry, we'll go ahead and start painting some of that pour 15 on there. Oh, we still need some, what is it, high fill or filler? What's that stuff called again?
Where?
So the parts that I didn't like completely weld, like there's some gaps.
Seam sealer.
Seam sealer.
So after the pour 15, we'll do seam sealer.
After the pour, okay.
Yeah, because I mean you want like the most rust resistant coating first, which is pour 15 in this case, and then the seam sealer will go on over that.
So should we put any seam sealer for some of these edges here? I mean, I guess it wouldn't be a bad idea.
I wouldn't worry about it because we're gonna do the pour 15 and then the bondo glass stuff.
Oh yeah, we're not really putting bondo.
Pretty fucking good.
Yeah, bondo.
Yeah, since we're not really gonna do bondo down there, then we'll do seam sealer on that. It'll also be nice to have for our shitty mini truck that we're gonna do in the future.
So we've pour 15'd all the rust patches that we repaired, and went ahead and got that all over any of the rust patches. You can see here it's already dry now, so we're just gonna give it a little kind of like just a little sanding, and then kind of rough it up a little bit, and we'll be able to then bondo glass. Well, the only part we're gonna bondo actually, so the only part we're gonna rough up to bondo glass is this area that's on the roof. This is the only part of the truck that really needs bondo glass or any sort of filler. But we got it all pour 15. so there shouldn't be any more rust on the truck, and this will take care of any existing rust that was left over. So now time just to bondo glass. And like I said, we're gonna do a thin layer of bondo glass to fill in most of what needs to get filled in, and then after that we'll go ahead and put a final layer of just regular bondo, so it'd be easier to sand and so we can smooth out and get the, I guess, the finish nice and smooth. So what we're going to be working on next is just filling in the parts with bondo, and it's going to be a lot of applying bondo and then sanding and then reapplying and sanding. But once we get that done, we're pretty close to getting it ready for primer again, the high fill primer. And once we get the high fill primer done, then it'll be finally ready for the paint color. So can't wait, super excited. Check y'all later.